As the effects of rising international oil prices become evident locally, there have been calls for government to make various adjustments to its fiscal policies to ease the burden on local consumers. Amidst these calls, the Department of Public Information sat down with Minister of Finance Winston Jordan, who explained the intricacies of the petroleum industry and what they mean for local consumers. Welcome to another edition of InfoHub Extended.
Roundabouts. Approaching a roundabout. When you approach a roundabout, you must use your indicator if you intend to turn left or right or make a U-turn at the roundabout. You must give other road users sufficient notice of your intent to turn. Entering a roundabout. When entering a roundabout, you must slow or stop to give way to any vehicle already in the roundabout. You must also continue to use your indicators if you intend to turn left or right or make a U-turn. Turning left. When turning left, you must indicate left on approach and be travelling in the left-hand lane unless there are road markings with other instructions. Stay in the left lane and exit in the left lane. Turning right. When turning right, you must indicate right on approach and be travelling in the right-hand lane unless there are road markings with other instructions. Making a U-turn. When using a roundabout to make a U-turn, you must approach in the right lane and signal right. Changing lanes in a roundabout. Drivers may change lanes in a roundabout if they wish. The usual road rules for changing lanes apply. You must use your indicator and give way to any vehicle in the lane you are entering. Going straight ahead. You don't need to signal when approaching the roundabout if you are going straight ahead. You may approach the roundabout from either the left or right lane unless there are road markings with other instructions. Exiting a roundabout. As when you exit a road, you must signal left when leaving a roundabout, if it is practical to do so, and you should stop indicating as soon as you have exited the roundabout. However, when you are travelling straight ahead on a small single-lane roundabout, it may be impractical to indicate when exiting.
Minister Winston Jordan explained the acquisition costs of oil for fuel consumption. He explained also the source and manner of financing these fuel purchases.
The prices that you hear in the world market are not the prices that Guyana brings in, for example, it to Guyana, lands it into Guyana. It's well above that price. Very often the prices you hear in the world market are spot prices, what they call spot prices, which is you can buy now at that price. But because Guyana is not lifting volumes that will allow you to get that price, they lift in very small, tiny volumes. So whenever you see prices $76 on the world market, Guyana's price landed here might well be $80-something. Okay? So, and that means $80-something US dollars that had to be found by Bank of Guyana, right? And Guyana would have had to find the Guyana dollars to buy that foreign currency from the Bank of Guyana.
Oil prices have risen significantly relative to a few months prior. The minister explained that the changing prices have to be met from the country's foreign exchange reserves and must therefore be represented at the pumps.
It means that some adjustment to the prices has to take place. Okay? You can't have a scenario where Guyana will continue to sell gasoline at $990, but has to find maybe $1,400 or $1,500 Guyana dollars to buy the fuel at the $80 US, if you see what I mean. Somebody will have to take care of the difference between $990 and the $1,500 or $1,600 that the Guyana will have to find to exchange with the Bank of Guyana. If you see what, if you understand what I'm getting at, okay? So the cry that is being made now for us to pull back so that you will go back to $990 at the pump, well understood, has to be taken in context, okay? It has to be taken in context. Because if we allow people to consume the same amount of gasoline that they were consuming when oil prices were $40, to consume that same amount when the prices are $80, at a time when the economy is not earning as much because sugar is not providing the level of foreign currency that it used to provide before, is indeed, will be highly irrational and critical mismanagement.
The minister says any effort to mitigate the effects of rising fuel prices on consumers must take into consideration the roles of the government and that of the consumers themselves.
The solution, Minister Jordan noted, is a combination of adjustments by the government and adjustments by the consumer. In short, he says citizens should consider ways and means of reducing their fuel consumption, thereby reducing their financial strain.
Once we get around the table, as we are now, we will determine what level of adjustment they can bear versus what level of adjustment the government must also bear. Together with a high level of education that has to take place. Because in Guyana now, I've noticed almost everybody has a car. Okay? In families where you would have had one car would have been a luxury. You have father has one, wife has one, children have one. You have children even going to school with cars. You know, a number of schools I've seen children driving in with cars and so on. Lots of cars around. So heavy demand on fuel.
The importance of education in aiding consumers to adopt measures will not only reduce the amount of fuel being demanded, it also reduces transport and operational costs, even in time of low fuel prices.
When these matters happen in the United States, you hear people talk about carpooling and all kinds of different other measures to reduce the consumption of gasoline and diesel and whatever whenever the prices reach to the levels that they were trending to. But it's unfortunate that we don't have an education program where that is concerned, requesting people to conserve on the use of not only electricity, conserve on the use of gas. Unfortunately, we don't have a public transport system where the government itself has big buses and so on. And lots of people don't like the minibus story. But when you look at the situation in Guyana, where there are very few roads, and people living in Diamond spend 4 and 5 hours to get to Georgetown, a lot of the gas that they just bought will be burned up, just idling in a long line, waiting to get to Georgetown. So all these matters, you probably would not look at when you have cheap gas. But when you have expensive gas, all of these matters have to come into consideration.
The finance minister acknowledged calls by the populace for government's interventions and the opposition's request for a government to utilize a previously used formula to lower excise taxes as a means of reducing the costs of fuels at the service stations. He explained why this was possible under the previous administration and the likely difficulties should this measure be adopted in the current situation.
The issue about price increases for minibuses is also engaging the attention of the Cabinet. Only last Tuesday at Cabinet, this matter was raised. And so we will have to find creative solutions to the problem of rising fuel prices. I understand, though, that in the past week or so, prices have trended downwards. I believe prices had fallen back to around about $60-something a barrel from the high 70-something.
In addition, Minister Jordan said that whilst the previous administration was able to forego taxes to maintain fuel prices, the conditions now are different. This was due to the Petro-Caribbean agreement. It allowed for a small percent of the purchase price to be paid and the rest rolled over on a term concessional financing loan.
At any one time, the last government didn't have to face the proposition that we have right now, which is we have to find 100% of the cost of the fuel and pay for it immediately. Yeah? When you have an arrangement like the Petro-Caribbean, it doesn't affect your balance of payment significantly.
In September 2017, world market prices for fuel increased due to the hurricane conditions in the southern hemisphere, which resulted in Guyana adjusting the prices in gasoline, diesel, and kerosene to a higher cost. Again, in February of this year, Guyana adjusted its prices upwards. Guyana currently sells gasoline for approximately $226 per liter. This brings us to the end of another edition of InfoHub Extended. Thanks for watching. Goodbye.
The future of Guyana has never looked better. Our nation is on the cusp of a development program like never seen before. While Guyana is now emerging as an energy giant through the discovery of massive reserves of oil and natural gas, it is your government's intention that the huge benefits emerging from this will go where it matters most, to you, the people of this beloved country. There is a surge of confidence in the way Guyana is governed once again, and the level of investor interest is unprecedented. Guyana is poised to become the breadbasket of the region, and the pace at which this nation will grow through prudent fiscal management will be nothing short of impressive. But more than anything else will be the way every Guyanese, regardless of color, class, or creed, becomes a part of this historic period of national transformation, sharing in the wealth and well-being of it all as one Guyana.